Evening, everybody. Hey, good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. So we're going to call to order the Oakland Town Commission for what is today? 4/24 of April 23rd of 2024. Yeah, okay. Everybody, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Bow our heads. Father God, thank you once again for entrusting us with your town. And I ask that you give us your wisdom and discernment to make the best decisions for our town citizens this evening. May we honor you in all we say. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, police.
Hey, Mr. Ramos,
Present.
Vice Mayor Satterfield,
Here.
Mayor Taylor,
Here.
and Commissioner Cullen, and Commissioner McMullen.
Great, okay. Ready to rock and roll. So next thing on the item is we have the presentations. We got three proclamations to read. Thank you to my wife for grabbing my glasses because I left those at home. Thank you. The first proclamation we're going to do is Teacher Appreciation Week. We all love our teachers. Whereas Oakland Avenue Charter School mold our future citizens through their guidance and education, and whereas Oakland Avenue Charter School teachers embrace students of widely differing backgrounds and abilities, and whereas our society expects public education to provide quality education and services to all children, no matter what their background or abilities, and whereas our county's future depends in large measure upon the education our youth receives, and whereas Oakland Avenue Charter School is proud of its commitment to teach character, education, and promote civic participation, and whereas Oakland Avenue Charter School teachers and staff spend countless hours outside their classrooms preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling, and coaching students, and performing community services, and whereas the town of Oakland recognizes that its teachers and staff are providing exceptional education services to our children. Now, therefore, I, Shane Taylor, on behalf of the Town of Oakland Commission, proclaim May 7th, 2024 as Teacher Appreciation Day, and the week of May 6th through May 10th, 2024 as Teacher Appreciation Week. In Oakland, I urge all citizens to pay tribute to our wonderful and dedicated teachers at our charter school. Thank you, teachers. If there's any. Okay, moving on to the next one. It's the World Migratory. It's a long one, Lisa. World Migratory Bird Day. Whereas the North American bird populations are declining at alarming rates with more than 3 billion birds lost and overall numbers decreasing by 25%. And whereas migratory birds and their habitats are declining throughout the Americas due to growing numbers of threats along their migration routes and in both their summer and winter homes. And whereas birds play an essential role in maintaining a healthy and resilient environment, yet cities and towns in particular have become hazardous to birds by posing many threats, including habitat loss, pesticide use, predatory free-range cats, and collisions with reflective windows and lighted buildings. And whereas the presence of birds provide a boost to the economy, ecotourism with diverse spinoff potentials. And whereas the town of Oakland is working to build a healthy, sustainable, and wildlife-friendly community that brings the many benefits of nature to all corners of our community. And whereas the town of Oakland sits on the southern shore of the Lake of Popka and has a thriving bird population that includes ospreys, bald eagles, waterfowl, songbirds, migratory birds, and resident peafowl, and wishes to protect all of our bird species. And whereas the town of Oakland is a Tree City USA and protects this beautiful tree canopy, which provides food and habitat for birds. And whereas the town of Oakland partnered with Oakland Nature Reserve to restore birds' habitat and provide nature educational opportunities. And whereas Orange Audubon Society works with Oakland Nature Reserve, carrying out bird surveys and seeks to partner with the town of Oakland to continue to improve bird habitat and survival. Whereas World Migratory Bird Day was originally created in 1993 by the Smithsonian Migratory Bird Center as International Migratory Bird Day, and since 2007 has been coordinated by Environment for the Americas, a nonprofit organization that strives to connect people to bird conservations, and since 2018 has been called the World Migratory Bird Day. Now therefore, I, Shane Taylor, on behalf of the Town of Oakland Commission, do hereby recognize May 11th, 2024 as World Migratory Bird Day in the town of Oakland and encourage all residents to participate in community activities that support and celebrate bird protection. I don't get an applause for that one. Can you repeat that, please? Peace.
Mayor, I want to ask something.
Yeah.
Rick Paul
Yep.
and bring the Dark Sky Initiative into play for this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard that. Thank you. Thank you. And Jennifer's here tonight too from the Oakland Nature. Thank you, Jennifer, back there as well. Elise, Elise is torturing me.
I didn't.
I know Kathy didn't have to go through any of this stuff that she got on there. Okay, here's another good one. It's the Town of Oakland Peace Officers Memorial Day and National Police Week. Chief. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designates May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Oakland Police Department play an essential role in the safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Oakland. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agencies, and that the members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against the deception and the weak against the oppression of or intimidation. And whereas the women and men of the Oakland Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now, therefore, I, Shane Taylor, on behalf of the Town of Oakland Commission, call upon all citizens of Oakland to observe the week of May 11th through May 16th, 2024 as National Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an inevitable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Furthermore, I call upon all citizens of Oakland to observe Monday, May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who through their courageous deeds have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. Thank you very much, Chief. Okay, got that part done. All right, moving on to public forum. We're going to open it up to the public and it's discussions of anything that's not on our agenda. We're going to ask that anybody wanting to speak, please sign in if you haven't done so already. And if you haven't, is there a list already over there that? Oh. Okay. I'll take them one by one if you got them. We'll do that. And 3 minutes, please. And I'm going to ask that if you would please keep your responses short. We don't need to keep rehashing the same thing. And be courteous, be kind, and be respectful. That's what I'm going to ask. Okay, first on the list is Meredith Ryan. Oh, you thought it was a sign-in form? It's okay. It's okay. Okay.
Hey, they're both okay.
They're what? Oh, it's okay. You mean to go? I'll go down the list. Maureen Murillo. Oh. Okay. Who would like to speak? Yes. There you go. That's not bad. There you go. Sorry. I was trying to keep it orderly is all I was trying to do.
I'm Carlos from 1408 at the Pine Street in Longreef. So I truly believe in respect and civility in everything we do in life for the most part. So we all know we had an election a few weeks ago over here, and it was, the people did what they did. It opened up a seat. None of us ran for it, so that wasn't us, which caused a procedure to happen. 12 of our residents stepped up to the plate after the fact, which again, that was on us. The town did what they did with it. I'm not here to question anybody's convictions in the decisions they made. I do wish that some new blood have come into the commission. But again, I'm not here to question anybody's convictions when it comes to that. I've loved the engagement we've had over the past few weeks. I would just ask that we continue coming together as a town. I mean, this is amazing. Like in the 4 years that I've been here, literally, I would come to the meeting and there would be like one other person. So please continue this engagement. I don't think it's beneficial for the town to continue tearing itself apart. Again, convictions, whatever people decided, if they don't want to resign or whatever, that's on them. So what I would ask is that we continue as a town to be engaged. And in the future, when something opens up, that you would run for it. And if the town wants change, you'll vote for the change. But I don't think it's wise that we continue to go down a path that's gonna tear us apart instead of us coming together and working as a town to make sure that we continue to be the best town that we can be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Lou?
Yeah, this might be under agenda. My name is Lou. I live at 316 North Pub Street.
Hey, Louis. Oh, you gotta come up and yeah.
You said it's on the agenda. It's at Fort Sweet Village.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that one. Yep. Anyone? John? Oh, I'm sorry. Good, sorry.
My name is Alan Shapiro and I live nearby, and I'm actually here representing the Orange Audubon Society, and you heard the proclamation earlier. And I just wanted to get my 2 cents in and say thank you for your community to realize how important birds are to us. You know, the canary in the coal mine thing. You know what happened to Lake Apopka, so let's keep doing everything we can to support environmental issues and Audubon Society.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, John.
John Hammerstein, 306 East Vic Avenue. Just curious about update on the dust and the roads and what's next and.
Yeah. Andy, do you have that? Were you gonna talk about that today or Mike or you know? Yeah, Mike, wait till the end.
We have signed an agreement with a contractor that will be coming in and they're going to put down the material that has been recommended to us by Windermere. I don't have a schedule for that yet, but it could happen within a week. It'll be fast when it happens.
Okay, and the road that we're gonna test this on first.
We're going to do Edge Road and we're going to do Vic. We're trying to do separate things at the same time.
Oh, the two separate materials?
No, the same
Same
material,
material,
just
just
applying it differently.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's happening, you think within a week or so?
I don't have a schedule from the contractors, so I can't be firm on it, but they met on Friday for their, upcoming work. I just haven't heard yet.
Okay.
Good, it's great to hear.
That's for both roads.
Yeah.
Both streets.
All right, thank you, guys.
I got a question for Mike.
Mike, is that material gonna be applied the same material 2 different ways to the hardening of the?
Yes, that's correct. Okay, same material, just a different outlet.
The material, is it the lime fresh rock?
It's a shell material.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else today? Oh, hello, Dean, come on up and speak. You have to. If you have to be up here, you have to be up here.
And I live on West Vic, so once you do each road, so I just want to make sure what's going on, you're gonna determine if it's the right fit, I guess, for the roads, and then are you gonna do the other roads? Oakland or what's?
Hopefully it will be the correct fit for Oakland and then they'll have to be addressed in an upcoming, but
So at this point, you're only talking about 2 roads.
that's correct.
Yeah, they could cross the top street from you, not sure. Yeah, sorry. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir, in the back.
How you doing? Sorry about being late. Thank you for letting me address you. I just got a question about
Name and address.
Trill Sean Bacon, 15 West Tension. Okay, I just got a question about the third
cemetery, the African American cemetery over there in the new home that we built. I just want to know, why is it a lock on the cemetery? And are we able to get some type of volunteer work to clean up? I'll be happy to go over there and clean up, but we just need, it doesn't look like, the last time I went up there, it's like trees growing over the graves and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, the town took ownership of that cemetery about 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. And, because of the nature of things that are in there, we elected to keep it locked. The only time anyone goes in is if one of us goes with you. And we're open, you know, anytime, Monday through Friday, even weekends if it needs to be. Somebody needs to go in there and, you know, pay their respects or whatever. We have set aside $20,000 every year for cemetery maintenance. So we are keeping some areas maintained. And I suspect in the upcoming budget years that won't change.
Okay.
Last year, we had a lot of dead trees that were, some were killed during the hurricane. And we had those pulled out of there and just, you have to be very respectful. There's not that many gravestones, so it's really difficult to see where the graves are.
Yeah, anytime that you have something like that, you wanna, I'm more than happy to go in there and help you, volunteer my time to help doing that, because I did go in there before the lock was on there, and I seen that it's a lot of stuff that overgrown graves and stuff like that. I just wanted to make sure we just pay the respect to the dead.
Yeah. I think for future maintenance of the cemetery will be basically, right now, we're keeping the areas where there are no graves, there are known graves. There's no graves in that area. We're keeping that maintained. And then we had a consultant come in, just maybe 3 or 4 years ago to do a master plan for the cemetery. And that plan defines a walking path through the graves that they determined where those graves were. And So we have in the city that where the plots are. Or not really, they just, they did ground penetrating radar and then they used visual aids because you really can't tell.
And the only reason I also asked that because I know that certain people have family members up there, but some people might have asked that they don't know their family members up there because we don't use that cemetery anymore. We use the one that's on 50, access on 50. So certain people might not know that. So I would like to get up there and take names and the names of the people and see if we can track them down and make sure they know.
Your list?
Yeah, we got a list. We got some names of the people that we know for sure are in here, so we can make that available.
Is that a public thing, or you can make it available to me, so I can see it, track it down?
We have an electronic copy. Yeah.
Just to piggyback on that, Commissioner McMullen and I, when we were in Tallahassee, lobbying for some utility projects, we also brought up to Senator Geraldine Thompson, possibly she was trying to get some state funding in order to come in, and we gave her a copy of our plan to help locate where some of the bodies are buried and who they belong to. And so that's another thing that I think is, she was working on that for this legislative period. So I don't know where we're at, but I'll get back to you.
I'm available for that.
And what Geraldine was not just doing for the locations, also to contribute grants to help us beautify and add more to that cemetery. And again, there's a lot, but there's a lead time, right? Mike, if he wants to get a hold of you and bring a team to help clean, Mr. Bacon is.
Honestly, as sensitive as that area is, we just won't let anyone in there to randomly clean. They have, like my staff, they have been shown exactly where they can mow and that, so I really.
Okay.
So when they go mow in there, is it possible I can go with them and just check the graveyard out? Next time you get in there and mow, I can go and check it out.
You can go, I can take you tomorrow.
Okay. All right, we there.
All right.
It's calling you out, Mike. It's calling you out.
Before you leave, get my phone number. That is a project that the officers would love to get behind and help. So like we can pick a weekend day under his direction and we'll go in there and we'll assist because it is our town. So I would love to help. I'll give you my phone number. I'm not gonna give it out.
Anyone else? Yes.
Ann Fulton, 227 Largo Vista. Gentlemen of the commission, seats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tonight I stand before you having been labeled a low human being, classless, and a gotcha question asker by individuals some of you know well. Such labels do not deter me. Instead, they strengthen my resolve to speak out. You, the gentlemen of the commission, have served our community for a combined total of over 65 years. While your long service is commendable, it has, I fear, led to a complacency that we no longer can afford. In the last 16 months alone, dissent has been rare and robust debate even more rare among you. Is this what leadership has become? Agreeing without question? Where are the hard questions? Where's the critical analysis? When's the last time you stood up and said an emphatic no? Because that's what your constituents needed and not just what was easy or a tradition. On April 9th, the phrase, "This is the way we've always done it," echoed through this room and sucked the air out of our lungs. But is tradition a good enough reason to continue on a path, even when everything around us has changed and evolved? Hell, our Constitution eventually adapts to changing times, shouldn't our leadership? Therefore, I am compelled to ask for your resignations, not out of malice, but out of profound concern for our town. For your complacency, your comfort with the status quo hinders critical analysis and necessary change. For your misplaced loyalty, your allegiance seems to lie more with each other than with the constituents you serve. For your financial mismanagement, the costly lawsuits and financial errors speak volumes themselves. For your neglect of our educators, OACS may be touted as amazing, but what about the teachers who leave due to low morale? Or those dismissed without dignity, only to have their personal items thrown into the back of a truck? How many OACS Teachers of the Years have stayed? 3 maybe over the last 20 years? For ignoring contracts, critical analysis of contracts is a basic function of government. Yet it's overlooked time and time again. For arrogance and absence, believing you are the only 4 who can lead our town and not even residing full-time in the town you govern is unacceptable. How can I state all of this so matter-of-factly? I've spent exhaustive evenings combing through minutes, videos, contracts, and laws. I spent countless hours speaking to the hundreds of residents, the ones that you should be listening to, who may not share my beliefs or my background, yet they share my concerns. They too feel ignored and sidelined by those entrusted with their votes. It's time for change. It's time for leaders who listen, who act, and who care genuinely about the fabric of our community. We deserve better, and tonight, I ask you to consider the voices, not just of the angry few, but the many who stand beside me and behind me. Remember, it's the angry few who started this great nation. So again, I ask you to put the interest of your constituents ahead of your own and resign with dignity and humility.
Anyone else want to speak tonight? Okay, if not, we'll close the public forum. Moving on to the consent agenda, which contains the minutes from the 4/9/24 work session and the town commission regular meeting. Also on here is the OACS policy and procedure, safety, school and security requirements. A bid award for construction lift station number 7, and then also the manager's report from last time. I would like to propose pulling the bid award for construction lift station 7. Do I have a motion to do that?
I'll make that motion, call the bid award for lift station 7
From the consent agenda. Thank you. Second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, next is the ordinance for the 2024-03 second public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. What was that?
We have to approve the consent agenda, A, B, C, D, and.
Oh, we have to do piece by piece?
No. What I'll do is I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda parts A, B, C.
Oh, I thought you just did that by saying I'll pull out the bid award.
Nah, that's all So we.
No, I thought that was enough. Okay, all right, so go.
One more. I'll make a motion to accept consent agenda, parts A, B, C, and E, omitting the bid award.
Okay, okay, then all in favor? Aye. Okay, I thought you did that already by saying I'm pulling out the bid award. Was that good enough? No, apparently
The
not.
whole thing.
No, okay. Now we're moving on to ordinances. Don't worry, folks, I'll get there eventually. So the Fourth Street projects that you have, we're going to pull them from tonight's meeting. Yeah, we're gonna pull them again, sorry. Yeah, and the reason being is because we just received documents about 4 hours ago that we have not had a chance to review. And I am, for one, not comfortable just going through this whole process without myself even having a chance to look at it. And it's a disservice to you as well, that we haven't had a chance to look at it. It's not the fault of anybody, it's just how the process works. If we're not ready, we're not ready. So the agreement with ourselves, the town, and the developer as well, have agreed to pull that and table it 2 weeks from now. So the next meeting we'll be hearing this.
That is concern that really needs to be addressed. I live on that street.
Yeah, so as of right now, we're not doing anything with it. So again, if you come back in 2 weeks, that's when we'll be talking about it. So we're not discussing anything on this tonight. Topic tonight. Yes, Lou?
Let's just say a general overview, it's still gonna be time for us to discuss what we want.
It's all dictated inside that developer's agreement, what's going to be built there. And that's what we have not on this table here, have not had a chance to read and go through to make sure nothing gets, not to say anything to this, but make sure it's business terms that the town and the developer have agreed to.
And if this comes to a vote, I think everyone said maybe you, it's already made up their mind what's gonna happen. So I'm not gonna be able to say what I don't.
Yeah, you'll have that chance. So when we read it in 2 weeks, it'll be a public forum. You'll be able to come up and talk and say your piece. Yeah. Any ordinances that we read, just so everybody knows, we open them up to the public for comment. So they'll be open where you'll be able to come up. So those two are being pulled off. Ma'am, I'm sorry that it's pulled again. But I think in the best interest of everybody, it should be pulled right now. Okay. All right, so moving on to item C, which is ordinance 2024-07. It's the first public hearing rezoning to plan development PD with development agreement to approve design guidelines and architectural standards for Briley Farm Phase 1. Sure.
Okay, so ordinance 2024-007, preparing an ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, adopting a town official zoning map amendment to adopt a plan development PD zoning with the development agreement and design guidelines and architectural standards of the Briley Farm Phase 1 project on approximately 35 acres of certain real property owned by Briley Land Holdings LLC and Daniel Street Holdings LLC have more particularly described herein, making findings and providing conflict severability and further.
Hey, Brad.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, thanks, sir. For the record, I'm Brad Cornelius with Waitron, serving you as contracted town planner this evening. So as the mayor said, and as Alicia mentioned, this is ordinance 2024-07. Next, please. So what this is, the reason why this is before you this evening, as y'all are aware, we have the town of Oakland, the Briley Farm development. This project over the last about two to 3 years has been approved by the town in different pieces and parts and phases. And you see on the graphic that you see on the slide there, it's comprised of 3 pieces. Phase 1A, which was actually a replat of existing platted lots here in the town back in 2021. And it combined lots and just, it took existing lots and combined them and recreated that area. That's considered phase 1A. That was approved by the town just through straight zoning, no special approvals for that other than just the replat. And then after that came phase 1B, which it was approved by the town in 2022, and that's for 27 lots. That project was approved. Again, that was approved through straight zoning. There's not a development agreement that covers phase 1B. It was a straight zoning project and it was approved by the town. And that project, part of that project 1B also has gone through the full engineering plan approval. So they do have full engineering plan approval as well for phase 1B. And I did actually get contacted by the folks that will be doing the plating for that, and the plating should be coming forward here to the town shortly for phase 1B. And then the other piece of Briley Farm that was previously approved at Briley Farm was in phase 2. That part of Briley Farms is the biggest part of this. It was approved with 111 lots. Now, phase 2 is not part of what you're considering today. Phase 2 is not currently owned by Briley Land Holdings yet. I do understand they're in the process of acquiring that. That will probably be coming to you in the future to do a similar type of thing that we're doing this evening. But that is part of Briley Farm. And then the fourth piece that you see on the slide is Daniels Cove. And as you all may recall, when we first started working with the town, that was an area of the town where there was 8 old lots that were replatted or went through the initial part of the replatting to recreate those 8 lots. At that time, the 8 lots were oriented north-south. And what's happened now is Daniels Cove is being integrated into Briley Farm. So it's now going to be part of that overall project. So as part of that happening, the lots would now be oriented east-west. So there'd be a connection into Briley Farm with that project. So it's all being integrated together.
They got sold.
I'm sorry, sir?
They got sold to Briley.
Yes, yeah. It's all together now. And the owner of the Daniels Cove piece is as part of the application for this change. So this will all bring that together. One of the benefits of what we're doing here tonight is that it brings those 3 pieces together under one development agreement entity. So one of the biggest confusions I will tell you that we had starting here with the town was figuring out all the pieces and parts and the relationships that there were between everything. So this will help clean that part up. But the big reason why this is before you, when the new group took ownership, they began to design homes, particularly for phase 1A, because those are already platted lots, so they could move forward with potential home construction. And what was found out as part of that process as they were doing conceptual homes is we couldn't get the homes to work with the town's design guidelines. And the issue, part of that issue was, unfortunately, the town's design guidelines, as they're adopted in your land development code, have quite a bit of area that needs improvement and changes. There is internal conflicts and things that don't work when you actually apply them. And in particular for this project, what was difficult in the homes that they were looking to build here were more, I would say, complex than what your design guidelines would really allow for. So we had quite a few meetings with the development group. We actually had a big meeting here in this room with Andy and Elise and with the development team, talking about how to work through these issues with the design standards, because they just don't work when you try to apply them. And the decision was, and the best way we felt this was to do, is to handle this similar to how the town has with Oakland Park, is actually approved specifically for Briley Farm. And in this case, for the first, what we're calling now Briley Farm Phase 1, which is those 3 areas, 1A, 1B, and Daniels Cove, to adopt specific design guidelines and architectural standards that would apply specifically for that project. And those would be the standards that we would look at when they would come through permitting. And so again, the way this is structured is that in what's in your agenda is this, we need to rezone these properties to plan development. Because like I said before, all three of those pieces went through straight zoning without any kind of plan development. And we need to do that so then we can adopt a development agreement that would then specifically, and that's all this development agreement you have before you this evening is doing, is to adopt these specific design and architectural standards for this project. It doesn't address anything else. And importantly, it doesn't change any of the prior approvals that the town has already done. They'll still stay in place. They don't change. There's no additional lots, nothing, none of that changed. That all stays the same. So that's how that got before this evening. The other important thing that I need to put out there so everybody's aware, if you look at there is a development agreement for Briley Farm, but it only covers phase two, only phase two. And one of the things that we found in this research of this issue is in the development agreement for phase two, it actually refers to the town adopting architectural standards for Briley Farm. And it says that the town clerk has them. The town clerk does not have them. They were never created. They were never actually done. What we found out, we spoke with the previous applicant, we spoke with their attorney. They were in the process of being developed, but were never completed and never submitted to the town. So that's why the town doesn't have them. And I think part of the disconnect that happened was, I think, particularly on the development side, people thought there were specific guidelines there, but they weren't. They weren't there. So this would correct that miscite that occurred and make things clearer. So that's why we're here this evening. That's what brought us here. Next, please. So just generally, a lot of this is what I already talked about again. But what they're doing is, again, they're setting design standards for the lots within this area, within this Briley Farm phase one. That will determine how they're developed. And they will also then set the specific architectural standards. And the graphic I have on there is actually the Daniels Code. And that shows how it would be oriented if this is approved, is with the lots east-west. So the lots that are on the west side would then connect into Briley Road there to the west. And then on the east, it would be there on Daniels, would come there. Before, if you recall, there was 4 lots on the north that ran north-south. 4 on the south that were north-south, and then an alley in between. Now they would be that way. So that's how the lots would be reoriented. Now this part of the project, the Daniels Code piece, still will need to come back to the town for preliminary subdivision plan and the replat. Because the previous approval that they have from the town has the lots going north-south that the town commission approved. That'll have to come back with this layout for you to approve that through a preliminary subdivision plan, and then also the replat for those lots.
That next code get then adopted into Briley Farm, so the Daniels Code.
Right, yes, sir. Yes, part of that overall, and that's how it's reflected in the designs guidelines that you have.
Hey, Brad.
Yes, sir.
The question is, when you go along Vic Street and you got that meandering right there. We keep in mind, and I think we talked about this a while back too, that we have a homeowner.
Making sure we maintain that access.
There's a garage there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So they'll maintain that right away access that's through there. Yes.
Yeah,
Right around here.
right around there.
Correct.
There's gotta be enough room for them to have access.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Their garage goes out that way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Does Vic stay a platted road?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Still maintained right away. Yep. We're not closing any right of ways as part of this. Yes, sir.
You can drive on the sidewalk.
Next, please. So I'm not going to get into all the detail. The applicant is here and they can give you the very specific details of the design standard, but how these are set up, and that's what I want to go over. Again, similar to Oakland Park, they have different lot types based on where they're located within this development, within Briley Farms 1A, Briley Farms Phase 1. So you can see the different colors for the different lot types. And what those mean is there are different setback standards, there are different lot development standards that apply to those different areas based on the character of the lots. So of course, the lots that are up on Lake Apopka, they're more sensitive to the interface with the lake. You get to the smaller lots over here on what used to be called Daniels Cove, it's a different kind of layout and setup. So they're very context sensitive to where these lots are. And I will tell you, that's one of the difficulties of the design standards in your land development code is it's very broad areas that they apply to. And your community is quite diverse in terms of the lot sizes and characters of your lot. So it does make it a little bit difficult in that application. The way this is being set up, the lot standards are specific to the characteristics of each of the lots. Next, please. So as part of what they're doing with their homes, they want, and what we told them, they still have to do homes that are consistent with the character of Oakland. We don't, what I would always say to people is, we don't want a Miami ranch. That's not what we want here in the town of Oakland, which is what I grew up in. But we want something that meets, you know, what you're, so they have 5 different standards of architecture that they're providing. The first is colonial revival. The next is Florida vernacular, Old Victorian, French farmhouse, and British West Indies Bermudian.
British West Indies, it reminds me of Alice Beach. I don't know if you got it. Alice Beach.
Yes, sir.
Panhandle. It has that style in that town.
And I would say they have submitted concept plans to us with the different, and the houses do look very nice. They do look very good. So these are the standards within the design guidelines, though there's very specific requirements and standards to get to that. And if you have questions, the applicant can address them better than I can. If you all approve tonight, tonight's the first reading. This will come back to you for the second reading, second public hearing at your May 14th meeting. If you approve it that night, then what will happen is the plating for 1B will come forward, as well as the Daniels Cove piece will also come forward for your final approval for that. That's what will come next if this is approved. So this has gone through the review process. We did present the same document that you have this evening to your appearance review board on April 2nd. And they did make a recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Board and to use the town commission to adopt these as proposed. They had an unanimous vote. I would say the only question they had was the colors, and they just said, "Did you realize most of your colors look white?" But they were very supportive of it. Your Planning and Zoning Board also reviewed the same document at their meeting last week on April 16th. And they also did recommend approval as submitted of these design guidelines as you have them before you this evening. And finally, as your staff, we have been working with the developer on this and with Andy and Elise and Mike for close to a year. And we think this is a positive step, and we do fully recommend approval of what's being proposed.
Great. Thanks, Brad. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna talk real quick at the table. Does anybody have any questions?
Just a few comments.
Okay, go ahead if you wanna.
I like the product. I like the fact that there's 54 units, 5 acres, which is an average of 1.5 acres per unit. Pretty good. That fits with our style and our, you know, our town grid, open, no gate. And I have a question for the outbuildings. I know you guys show them here, but you don't describe the size that they're allowed to have. I mean, they show a variance of different multiple sizes on the pictures and on the document.
Yeah, I'll
Outbuildings.
Yeah, I'll give you the general and I'll let the applicant give you the specifics on that. They do have within the standards sizes and the location requirements for it. The height, they can't be higher than actually it's lower than the actual structure. It even has the location siting. Now, what they do different than what you have here in the town, the way they would set them up, pick on the larger lots, is where the outbuildings would be out front and create like a courtyard in front of the house. So there are size limitations. The other limitation they have to be aware of, which this was a lot of discussion we did have with them, is in terms of being aware of the maximum impervious area on these lots. Because of the sensitivity with runoff and with Lake Apopka, and their design standards account for that. They cannot exceed the maximum allowed impervious.
That's good. My question was, my concern was more of the outhouse ratio versus the main home. So I know some of these homes are up to 5,000 square feet, but some of them are not. So I just want to know there's a ratio for that, not have an outhouse the same size as the main house and look like you have 2 houses.
Right, no, definitely smart. I can't get, and I apologize again, and I hope the applicant gave you that specific answer for you, but no, they're definitely secondary to the main house. Because, you know, they don't want that either.
Correct.
Another thing I wanted also to point out, which is important, in terms of accessory dwelling, similar with Oakland Park, what their proposal is if you approve this, they would be able to do granny flats as part of this project without coming back through a special exception here in the town. And again, we think that's appropriate because it is confined within that. They can do the accessory dwelling units as part of this project without having to come back through a special exception. It would be, but it's limited to within the project itself. It would not expand outside of it. And that would, as part of the request. In your code today, what it says, if you're going to do an accessory dwelling, or what other people would maybe call a granny flat, is it would require to come back through a special exception process. But similar to what you have in Oakland Park, within the development itself, they're able to do that without extra approval here with the town. But there are limitations on where it has to be in these, you know.
And that's what my concern was, the ratio of the size.
Right.
Granny flat, excessive, you know, whatever dwelling,
We wouldn't
be the same size as the main dwelling.
Right, no, and it wouldn't fit on the lot with the size of that. And the other part is that they can't look like a duplex. It wouldn't look like a multifamily structure, that kind of thing.
But it would be a multifamily.
No,
You're asking.
We're gonna be, you're talking here first.
We'll get there, we'll get there. Just wait, we'll get there.
We haven't got to the vote.
We'll get there.
Discuss that.
so, and yeah, and just, you know, for an accessory dwelling unit is not under Florida statute as well. It's not defined as a multifamily structure. It's a secondary dwelling unit. Typically, it's going to be in a separate building, an outbuilding, an over garage, an apartment or something like that. That's what an accessory dwelling unit is. And those are,
What is the price range of the homes?
you know, I let the applicant answer that question, yeah.
Is it gonna come up?
Okay, anything else from anybody else? Mike, you all right?
My only comment is the British West Indies doesn't look a whole lot like us. Oh, I'm sorry, I said that the British West Indies Bermudian type doesn't really look Oaklandy to me, so. And maybe that's something we talk about on sites that go, regardless whether they're on the lake or not.
Right.
So I guess we talked to.
And you can ask the applicant, right?
Yep. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Applicant, would you like to speak, Steve, or anybody, or? Sarah, are you? Good morning, good evening.
Good evening. Sharon Sidrum.
Speak loud so they can.
Sure. I always keep thinking these are microphones.
No.
Lowndes 2 and 5 North Yola Drive, Orlando, Florida. Here on behalf of the applicant. Your town staff gave a very thorough presentation, so I won't go back and recite all of the same facts that they gave you. But I do think it's worth pointing out that the reason this case even came to a planned development is because there are some inconsistencies or areas that needed clarification in the town's code. So when they went through the process trying to design the lots, some of the text didn't match up with some of the pictures or vice versa in what was in the town's code. And so it was at the staff's suggestion that it made sense to come through a PD process. If you look at the development agreement, there are 20 pages of design standards for this project. Those are detailed design standards that, per your staff's report, meet the spirit and the intent of your land development code. So this is meant to provide those needed clarifications in a context-specific situation so that the purpose of your land development code can be met based on the exact way that our lots are actually laid out and actually designed for the property. If you look at some of those community development standards, the guidelines have a 7-step process that you're supposed to go through for each of those lots being designed. Has to go through architectural review to ensure compliance with those 20 pages of standards. So it is a thorough way to make sure that what the town always wanted is actually consistently being applied project-wide, and to give that spirit and intent, but based on specifically what we know to be true on our lot configurations as they exist today. Bobby's here if you want to have any specific questions. I did ask our team how much those homes would be starting at and was told that the starting price is 1.6 million.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, just Just a couple of questions that I have, real quick, you asking about the outbuildings, south. If you look at block type A, they have the side setbacks, the principal structures are 20 foot off the front of the road. 7.5 foot from the sides, which we'll meet those, and 25 off the back. The outbuildings, though, they're 5 foot from the side, 5 from the street, and 5 from the rear. Is that, you guys comfortable with the side yard setback of being 5 foot versus 7.5 feet?
Where you?
Right here.
Now,
Right here. That guy.
It's on a smaller lot, I can recall. Because there was two different setbacks, 1.5
Yeah.
larger lots.
Yeah,
Maybe the applicant can answer that.
Yeah.
If it's a smaller lot, the 5 foot setbacks, again, my whole thing was how big is the outbuilding is gonna be.
Yeah, so,
I've seen some, you know,
yeah, it looks like most of the lots are, most of the lot types are the same. I understand more so if in Oakland Park because of how narrow the lots are, these, you have 75, 90 foot lots. The outbuildings are the question, so.
I agree with you, Mayor, that because the lots that are bigger
Mhm.
should go to 7.5 foot setbacks because these lots are a lot bigger than Oakland Park.
Yeah, all structures, yeah,
It's the issue of James.
because of the skinny lots.
Yeah, and that might be where you're.
Okay.
That's right. 5 foot was on that. Eight lots.
Is that what you're saying? It's just for those 8 lots, or you're saying all in?
No, actually, if you look
Daniel
at it,
Codes is 5, yeah, it's 15, 5, and 25. It's got 15 on Daniel's Codes. They're a little small. So those will be a little smaller houses.
They will, yeah, significant.
yeah, Daniel's Cove was lot type D in there.
Thought I saw it.
Yeah, so it works on that particular one because the side setbacks are, they're higher lots, higher lots, I should say, 5 foot. But the other ones in the larger lots, would you like to stipulate that those accessory structures are 7.5 feet, not 5?
I'm with you there too.
Doing the 7.5 for the larger lots, the non-Daniel's lots.
The non-8 Daniel lots,
It only makes sense.
Yeah.
Big lots.
okay,
We're fine with that.
right?
I had another question for the applicants. All these models or styles, colonial revival, folk Victorian, all of these, including the Mediterranean, British, West Indian,
The Bermuda. Are they at Oakland Park right now? On the Oakland side of Oakland Park, these styles, is there one exception here that you can say, no, you will not go over there and see one at Oakland Park, Oakland side?
Well, we don't go to the British West Indies style, but they do have a Spanish revival.
Mhm.
We felt like we switched out of the Spanish revival and used the British West Indies. We felt like it's a little more. We think there's a little more demand for that right now than the Spanish revival. You see it in Oakland Park, there's only probably 15 of them in the whole community. And I think it's a beautiful, setup, but it just doesn't seem.
I don't see that being fitting into the historic part of our town as much as it does, like you say it would. I know it's a demand, but I like the Spanish, colonial better than this Bermudian, in my opinion.
If you need to have 5, or can you find some sides that? At this point,
If it doesn't fit more than I have. But, well, I mean, we put a lot of effort into having the ocean kind of, not the ocean, but I'm sorry.
Lake life.
The Bahama.
Lake life.
Bahama Breeze Live.
Lake life, apologize, but wings now back better.
you guys good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I've seen what we have at Oakland Park, the Spanish one you're talking about, that's very popular, it's very nice. And we have some here already, but that one, I can't find one house in Oakland like that Bermuda style, Bahama Breeze style.
We're trying, what our vision is at product.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, you're good. Okay, so if you're good, okay. So this time we'll open it up to anybody who would like to speak in the audience. Oh my gosh, okay, hold on. Yeah, you have to come all the way up. If you're gonna talk, you have to come up. And you have to say your name and address again for the record. Right, Elise?
From the, my name's Louis Smith. I live at 4 houses down 316 North Top Street. And I've been paying attention to that Briley Farms property for 4 or 5 years. After the apartments were built by Longley, I paid more attention to what's going on. And I like what Oakland Park's done in a number of things. One, it's no gated community. This will not be gated. That's great. One of the things I really like about Oakland Park is they have the retention ponds on Lake Apopka. So the general public has access to that. And I don't think Tess has any access for the public to the lake at all in any part of the lakefront. Is there going to be some little cutoff that has like a little dock or anything for the public to access Lake Apopka in that whole property? Because Oakland Park has a mile of access to the lake. And I'd like to see at least something. I talked with the town contract zones guys, and he said they were thinking of making a little like kayak canoe ramp going into the lake somewhere on the lakefront. So on this section here, just looking at your map up here, all I saw was housing plans. I saw nothing that had any open space for the public. So that's my only 2 cents. Also, that section 2, we're not talking about whatever, but I was under the impression that 7 acres or 6 acres or 5 acres is going to go to the nature preserve. And so I just want to make sure that's still in the game plan for this whole thing. But the access to the lake, I don't think we're going to get those retention ponds that they have in Oakland Park and Winter Garden. I don't know whoever came up with that, who the retention ponds are, but I give them a lot of credit because that open space is for everybody. And I'd like to have something for the residents of Oakland to access the lake. We have one dock on Tub Street that I know of that's open to the public in Oakland. And I'd like to see something in one of the new Oakland Park. I don't know what the Oakland Park part of Oakland's gonna have the retention ponds like in the Winter Garden part. If that's still what's gonna be equal to that, that's great. And but in this Briley Farms, I'd like to see like you go to the beach in like Clearwater, they have little access every couple of blocks where some people can go in and throw a fishing rod in or something. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thanks, Lou. Thank you. Charlie.
Comment, what a question. So comment was, I get very concerned when I hear a developer say, we want approval to come in and make changes based on our judgment without having to come back and get approval. That was in kind of in the middle of his thing. So that's very concerning. I don't trust necessarily a developer's judgment of what's best for the community or the town. So that's a real concern, and I wanted to make that statement. 2, I've not heard anything about any kind of mitigation for any of the folks who live adjoining where this is going. We live right across from Vic, on Vic Avenue, right across from the park. We've already seen from Oakland Park a huge flow of traffic cutting through to get to the park, all of this kind of stuff. What's going to be done? We're on the one road that is completely dust right there. It's great that the park is so well used, but there's nothing being done to help adapt that yet. I know it's coming. I know they're doing trials, but that doesn't help right now or next month or next week or whenever. With all of the traffic that's going to be hitting that now, we're right there where that dead ends and where that development starts. We're going to be swamped with dust. That's a real concern. We watched a young couple's wedding get completely buried in dust this weekend to the point where she had to go over and stand between cars and shake off her dress because there were so many cars driving up and down our dirt road. So.
And Vic, you're talking, right?
Yeah, Vic. Yeah, you're around the corner on the other dust road.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear some sort of plan where the builder who's driving the increased traffic is doing something to fix the roads or supporting that.
Thanks. Okay, Charlie, thank you. What do you think the main access would be for this neighborhood? Do you think most people would come down Tubb, go to Briley and go in? I know I've seen your marketing brochures that show some brick and on the intersection. So how are you guys thinking the majority of the people will come in? You got 4 lots that sit along Vic that definitely will be access through there.
Correct, that's what I was gonna say, but the primary Riley division is coming through from the south, like you were saying, like up street up to the Briley Avenue.
Riley, yeah.
So that's all like kind of like paved access, so our intent for Jefferson.
So Jefferson off of Oakland Avenue. Yeah, straight. Jefferson is will be your main entrance into the neighborhood.
So we have. At the present time, there's no traffic going through Vic.
Yeah.
Then may have, one showing a day, if that. So I'm not sure. If that will not be. Moved by us.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying, I don't think they're blaming you. I think they're just saying that in general, there's just. Yeah, there's.
Yeah. But
yeah,
The development is going to bring a lot more cars down Vic. That's true.
Mr. Scanlon, come over here and talk over here before we start having 15 people talk.
I mean, I don't live on the dirt roads, but I hear Charlie, because I mean, it's not, the dirt roads now, there's home deliveries, there's Amazon guys flying back and forth, UPS guys, so it does do that. I mean, it is a concern I think we need to look at and address, so we'll take that into some serious consideration on your end there. Ed, sorry.
Ed Kulkowski, 51 Vandermeer. One of the things that's already touched on with lake access, but as I look at this page 66 of this picture here, this is the only one I could find that I could see. There are no retention ponds shown on this plat. I've got 3 of them in my Southern Oaks neighborhood. Where does the rainwater capture go? Every space is filled with home site, and that doesn't seem, it seems like an oversight to me that all the rest of it have retention and there's nothing.
Yeah.
Is there something shown?
Yeah, I'm sure, I can assure you there's gonna be retention on this. Absolutely. Yeah, please, yeah.
So what you see here is not the engineering plan, this is just a marketing plan for the project. So it doesn't show the part, so phase 1B, which is the part that goes up to Lake Apopka. That already has an approved engineering plan and already approved plans from the St. John's River Water Management District. Right here. Stormwater.
Right there.
Right.
So that one small area is the only retention that this 35-acre plot needs? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that?
It's truncated off right there at the west side. They're just trying for the color. There's more pond to the west, but it's been sized and permitted through the Water Management District, and it meets Lake Apopka and we'll.
Okay, so I like the comment that I heard earlier. I use the walkway through Oakland Park a lot, multiple times a week. It's a really nice feature. It would be a really nice addition to a neighborhood where you're selling $1.5 million starting homes. So I would ask that you take that into consideration. Okay, that's good on that. My next point is I am concerned when I read this accessory dwelling units, and we had some discussion on that already. I am not in favor of having multifamily living opportunities here in this development at the owner, I guess, discretion later on. I've got one home in my neighborhood now where the owner built a garage with a build out overhead later. Well, the build out, it turns out, was concurrent with the construction of the garage. Now it's really a multifamily dwelling. It doesn't have tenants in it, but it could easily be that. And I think that's inappropriate for us. The next, so I would like to see that modified somehow to eliminate
the opportunity for multifamily uses on that. I think it's have outbuildings. I think it's great. The garage back there, fine, multifamily.
When you say multifamily, is it more for multi-generational? If your mother-in-law wanted to move in or,
Yeah, but who's to say my mother-in-law lives there now and then next week it's somebody else?
just asking the question.
You can't, that's not good for me. My mother-in-law, sure. Somebody else.
Come on, my mother-in-law, no.
Okay. Okay, the other thing that I would like clarification on, I didn't see it in the plan development documents that put out in the agenda. I do see some words in the design guidelines about sizes, but they're written in such an obtuse way. It's 70% of this and 60% of that. How about putting in the development, the PD documents? We're gonna have a minimum size of 2,200 square feet, maximum size of 5,000 square feet, whatever y'all are gonna do, just spell it out. Or you do?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't, so it's in. Is it in there?
It's in the lot types and the sizes and the set.
Well, yeah, but that's where, well, it's 70% of the square footage of a lot. I mean, how do you compute that?
Right. So depending on the size of that, how big that lot is.
How about just a simple number?
Because the lots are all different. But you can't just say, the lot's very deep, all over the same size.
Yeah.
You can't say you're gonna put a 4,000 house on an acre. You know, you don't know.
We're talking about guidelines.
We're gonna custom design their house for those lots,
That's great.
you know, so you're capping it based on the lot size. But, you know, to just say, hey, we're gonna build 4,000 feet on an acre, you're gonna tell us, you know, some customer that you would want.
No, but most of the things I've seen are, we've got a minimum size of 4,000 feet or 3,000 feet or whatever, nothing smaller than that. And I don't even know if you want to put it.
I think like your, yeah, it's yours customs, but I mean, I don't know, in your documents, it might say the minimum square footage you can build is 2,500 square feet. Anything above that is game, except for it's got to fit into. It's a minimum. You're not gonna have a 1,500 square foot house on a 15.
We're not gonna max.
No, it's a lot. I was not really suggesting maximum, but I was asking about a minimum. We have a minimum. What is that now? 3,000. 3,000. Okay. Could we write it in there?
It is, right?
It's in the, it's,
Sorry, I missed it.
no, it's okay.
I have this in your, lot D,
Lot who?
lot D section, Daniel's Cove there. You've got all the rest of the home with side and rear entry garage. I think if you're trying to tie these things together, it would be disadvantageous to have front entry garages in that. Find a way to fit a side or a rear entry garage. I think it would add cohesiveness to your neighborhood. I think it would be visually more appealing for all of us. And
Talking about Daniels?
yeah,
So right now Daniels,
because all the others have side or rear garage entry, right?
Except for the Lakelands, Lakelands have front, side, not front.
Similar to,
Loading front side, sure.
Front side.
Yeah, I think it would add cohesiveness. You're trying to pull these areas together. A suggestion.
We have in Daniels, we're in the back, but they're front loaded in the back. You gotta drive down the side into the back, like Oakland Park.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No.
So in Oakland Park, if you go in there, if you'll see you have a house, you drive past the house, and you drive straight into the garage.
Yeah, that's
So it's a front loaded garage, but the garage is in the rear.
back of the house.
That's what we're doing there.
Yeah,
No, we're not gonna have them stacked up like you're, like, if that's what you're thinking in the front of the house. No, yeah.
Kind of like similar, see, like this is the front loaded, but it's in the back, like say,
Oh, okay.
like see this.
Okay. Oh, great. Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah, that's confusing, but yeah, that's the intention, not to have them just sandwiched up.
Yeah, they don't want to, yeah, that's why I like say it in like lots in park.
Yeah, okay.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Hey, anybody next? Steve in the back. Sorry, Steve. And then we'll go to Meredith, and then we'll go to Chris.
60 Effort, 90 Vandermeer. I'd like to echo the comments we've already heard about multifamily. I think blanket approval for the mother-in-law apartment without any restrictions? And are there gonna be deed restrictions? Could those properties be rented out? What's the maximum occupancy? And what is that gonna do to the traffic that's coming into that area? So if they build a 1,500 square foot auxiliary apartment and rent it out to a family of 4 with 4 cars, that's really gonna load up the traffic as well as the impact on the property.
Okay,
I'd like to see that restricted.
thanks. Is there, have you guys come up with your deed restrictions yet? Steve, you guys come up with those documents yet?
Number one, they're not made to be rentals.
Yeah.
So house, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna rent them out, they're not.
Airbnbs?
Rent out. Those are actually not for family.
We're not allowed to have Airbnbs.
Yeah, okay.
Allowed. Control that. Yeah.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, you guys control that.
We control that. That's an in-house,
We've got an part, really.
it's an in-house thing for us to do that ourselves.
Okay,
We do a lot of things. You can see that in the back, it's meant for in-laws are there, or guests, or. I don't know of anyone we've ever done where somebody's trying to rent it.
And the gym as well, as gym gets supplied, they don't have friends.
yeah. Anyone else? Sorry, Meredith, I'm sorry, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. You, yes, ma'am. No, not you, Chris. No. That's okay. Oh, yes, geez. We give you. You're not happening anytime soon, right? Not happening soon, right? Can't take it, pal. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Picarello. I live at 503 East Tension. I have a question about, and I recognize this is phase 2, but sometimes things move really fast in this town. I have a question about the buffer with the nature preserve. So I'm a member of the nature preserve. Our family is also a member of Orange Audubon. So clearly those are causes that we support. And additionally, the memorial garden is right there alongside the fence. Excuse me, and there is a plant in the memorial garden for my late daughter who was born at Rest. And so I am very concerned about what that buffer is going to be there. It's a very peaceful place now. My 5-year-old son loves to go and we love to go and memorialize her whenever we can. And so I'm curious about that. There's been a rumor that there will be a buffer of some degree, but I don't know where that currently stands. And so if that's something that, again, recognizing that this is phase 2, but if there's something that you guys could share on that, I'd like to know just as we move forward.
I'll just first put out there, like, we're the owners of phase 1, not of phase 2, but there is I'm very familiar with the phase 2, the development, and Brad can step in if I misspeak or anything, but I think the developers agreement for phase 2, there is a dedication along the western side of phase 2 that was to be dedicated to the town for, I believe it's part of the nature. So it's like, I don't know, is it there where area of study is concerned, but there is
Do you recall how big that buffer is? There.
I want to say it was like, it was definitely a very big area. I want to say at least like 100 foot wide, but.
Right, Jennifer, there you go, Jennifer. Tell us.
The last article that I saw, which is probably a couple of years old now, was around 5 acres. Organic, that's all, for the all trees.
Jennifer, right around this line, right?
The wetland space is right there.
Right there, right here.
Basically where the organic is there, about 5 acres.
Where's your?
Okay, yes, I see it now. I think I can pull it off. So like right now you have highlighted is the boundary of the property, and based on the construction plans. Pretty much. This whole area. West is being dedicated to.
A lot more than the 5 acres.
Correct.
From right, this line right here, oh.
Is that your understanding, Jennifer? Okay.
Okay, so. All right, I'll go back up to the podium. But I believe that current owner is in for a permit and they have tracks for conservation of 7 acres roughly and another 4 acres. That'd be about at least 11 acres of conservation on the western side, which looks to be about 100 feet deep. Typically and deeper in other sections.
Thank you very much.
But it is up on the southern end of it.
It goes from the southern end to the northern end on the western side of the property.
Yeah, the western on the north side is all.
All wetlands, right?
You know, once you get farther.
Thank you.
Okay, and all that stuff will be brought back to the phase 2.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Sorry, Chris, sorry.
Color 2511, don't report. Really, this is just to the commission and it really applies to all the developments that are being considered in the town at the moment. During previous conversations, there was a discussion about impact fees hadn't been reviewed in about 4 years. And in recent conversations at the commission meetings, there have been conversations about thoughts and things that are happening and our capabilities for the current population of the town and what all these new residents will be with all these new different developments. So I'd like to implore the commission to make it a priority to review the impact fees before these developments start to get built so that we have them, approved. Because I understand it's more than a process of this is what we want to charge. I guess it has to be something that has to go through the state as well. So I would implore you to revisit that soon so that we don't get caught when that starts to develop and we're not ready to address those. My second thing, and it would be, again, I also would like to express concern over the developer having final approval without having to review things back again with the town staff on some of these things that they're requesting. I think that I agree that we need to have at least final say, even if it's just a final blessing. Thank you.
Thanks. Andy, I think that impact fee stuff, that's in our budget coming up, Frank, is that right? You'll review that? Start, okay, maybe we can. Yeah. Looking at it? Yeah. Yep. Carlos?
Carlos McKinley, so on a similar line to that, I know in previous meetings, we've talked about the master plan that hasn't been updated. It seems like this is the kind of stuff that's making it clearly obvious that you guys do need to come back together and revisit the master plan. So then that way that when these communities coming in projects like that you guys are able to address some of these things into those master plans. And we're not 4 years down the road when this community is here, then talking about like the infrastructure, the roads. So let's talk about what the next 10 years are going to look like now and update the master plan now and not an afterthought later.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely on the radar, Carlos, to look at that again and see what we can do. I think this is a very cool neighborhood. It's unique. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Becky Corcoran and I live at 19 Oakland Point Circle. And if you pull up one of the slides that shows me, Elise.
Right there on the end, aren't you? Right in the corner. There in there, you're sandwiched in.
20, 47, 51, that little space, that's me. All in there. And I have some concerns that actually have happened here tonight. As we keep addressing Oakland Park. When this development first was going, it was supposed to be the lots were going to be done. Or they weren't going to be clear cut. Now I'm concerned, are they going to come in and clear cut like Oakland Park? Only because I keep hearing Oakland Park. So with that being said, I mean, I am completely enveloped in this area. Are we still going to be maintaining that they're coming in and just doing lot by lot by lot?
Is that the intent? That's the intent?
Yeah, we actually, and Brad's, aware of this. We had this discussion even the other day. We have our site contractors, going ahead and updated our plan, because our plan was always to leave the lots, we're gonna get the roads in, get the infrastructure in, do all that, we're gonna leave the lots, basically the way they are, and then as they're built, we're gonna do individual lot grading plans, individual tree plans based on the design of the home and based on what we're doing in the neighborhood. So that's 100%.
Staying the same, okay, only because I keep hearing Oakland Park and the mess that's over there right now.
Saying it's the way that we're doing the design agreement. We're designed to make designs suitable for the town and for us. But as far as the development goes, we're gonna come in and leave, again, our intention was we're gonna cut the roads, we're gonna, put in the center, park with the walkway and all that, and do all those things. And then we're gonna have individual lot grading plans, throughout, so which we've already, Brad's fully aware of that, we've been talking about that even last week.
That in writing?
Yeah,
I just,
Make you feel better, Becky? Writing?
with everything I see with Oakland Park and the closer they keep going to the lake and going to the lake, I'm sorry, I have concerns, because I really invested.
And our engineer is doing it, and sitting right here.
Okay.
Like the whole, it's the department is still in their process of actual but what's so great about this proposed project is they're not doing like the small 50-foot lots. They are wanting to do the larger lots, which has the ability to, let's say, respect the land. Because they actually I've done so much smaller lots. They're like, we like the character of the lots. We like quality. Every lot, they want it to be a unique experience for the person that's going to live there.
Oh, trust me, I've been with this since the very beginning, so, but tonight you guys scared me with Oakland Park.
Sold the design book. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Rosalind Jones, and I'm on Gully and Nixon. My concern is that on Jefferson, there's a narrow road, and I think right now it's considered a private driveway. So what are we gonna be doing about that? Because obviously we're gonna have a lot of traffic in the area. So do we plan to open that road up? We're gonna widen it or what? Because it's gonna be a lot of traffic going to and from.
Yeah, it's my understanding they're gonna make that their main interest, but we'll let them answer your question.
Once they sell it, that private goes away, it becomes a road for us and it gets developed.
Is that, you want to speak on that real quick for? As far as the Jefferson and private, where, if you drive down Jefferson, you hit past the trail and this is private road.
Right.
All the way to
No, we have
Boss's property.
been with the city that are approved. I think there's like a railway that's to be paved through there. So we have approved plans to pave that road. There is plans in right now for paving of Jefferson between phase 2 and phase 1. So it's like all of our intent is to have public access and paved roads for the development.
From Oakland Avenue into the neighborhood. That's what you're asking for, right?
Because, oftentimes, I'm an original person of Oakland. And, oftentimes we see that the roads are built 10 years afterwards when there's already been a large impact. So
Yeah.
just a concern.
With the current standards that we're having to meet, we're proposing to pave and at the same time that we're doing the home.
Thanks.
Good question.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, yes, ma'am. Beverly.
And 2104 River Tortoise. So with this main entrance being off of Jefferson and the traffic we already have through Longleaf, like if we're gonna put in a roundabout at Oakland and Tubbs, I feel like that's gonna force more traffic through Longleaf. Because we already have it from the apartments.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Are we?
the amount of traffic we get from the apartments coming through, cutting through from 50 to Oakland Avenue is ridiculous.
And you're asking what? Say it again.
So I know in the master plan, there was a plan to put a roundabout at Tubbs and Oakland Avenue, which I think would be a deterrent for people to find another cut through again for this Bradley Farm. So I feel like this is gonna create a bigger traffic nightmare through Longleaf.
I don't think we got to the point that there was gonna be a roundabout per se at that point. It was a suggestion coming in, but I don't think we've got that far.
Yeah, but I did talk to Sal about it and it was still something that was being understanding.
But we haven't done. It was just.
I just want that to be thought about because now I'm concerned with more
Something they don't.
Sure.
We're trying to get through this ordinance right now, and that's a concern over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, that's it. Then we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the table. We've heard some discussions and some points. Anybody want to add anything to the discussion? We've got to make sure that the big things we got on John Thorne's property, or what do we, yeah, what do we call that? Now?
Briley Farms or
Daniels.
Daniels.
On Daniels, other than that property, we want the lots to go at 7.
Can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Other than Daniels, we want, which will be 5-foot setbacks, we want the lots to be 7.5. We want to do away with the British West Indies type, and we want to have some sort of more control over the multifamily dwellings and not a blanket approval by the developers. That's pretty much what we've mostly come up with.
And connectivity from Jefferson north towards either park or kayak.
Oh, that's right, yeah, okay, and
Brad Holland Territory.
All I can say about the comment there.
I'm just trying to recap what.
Instead of saying multifamily, it's accessory dwelling unit. Just to be specific to what the issue is and how it's addressed within the design guidelines. They're accessory dwelling.
Understandable, the dangerous word.
Yeah.
And those accessory dwelling units, in conversation with my client, don't have kitchens. So these aren't meant to be livable units for somebody long-term. These are truly accessory in the sense that, again, it could be somebody's Pilates studio, it could be a place temporarily if you have a mother-in-law coming into town. They're not meant to be a multi-family, separate, livable.
Body.
Correct.
Same thing Orange County on. You know, you can have a guest house, put a guest house in, you can't have a full kitchen, you can't have a range. You can have a little, wet bar, for your gym, whatever, but you can't have a kitchen in, which prevents you from,
Being able to rent.
turning into an apartment.
You have a bathroom?
Well, of course, yeah.
Yes. And then just to clarify on the removal of the Bermudian style, is it okay if we just have the 4 that you all like in there? If there's not another one that makes sense?
Was there a stipulation to have 5 or any other number? You just come up with that number?
That was just what was proposed. So I just want to make sure on a second reading, if we didn't find something else that seemed compatible with those styles, if those were diverse enough for us to be able to.
You guys do find it compatible, like you already have over there in Oakland Park, back to the design, like the Spanish colonial one that we've had a couple of them here.
No, you'd ask in those hours, they're the 4 that we have.
Okay, the others are acceptable.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
I think the
by far.
Yeah, I think the 4 you have selected, that's pretty close to
Yeah.
Oakland character.
Okay. Just wanted to make.
Yeah. But listen, if you have a 5th one you want to try to bring in. Yeah, and if they're all going to be custom and different, then they're not going to be the same, but that's just the kind of the features you're using, yeah. Okay, and I forgot, Louis, you had mentioned as we talked, some sort of maybe lake access.
We're already going, lake access, I don't think was contemplated until phase 2. Cause right now we're based on straight zoning that doesn't have, per the approved construction plans, access until, I think that's not contemplated until the future phases.
Yeah, well, just so everybody's aware in terms of where these pieces are in terms of process. So what's important is, as Bobby said, is phase 1B, which is what we're talking about today, not phase 2. Phase 1B has actually fully approved plans by the previous town commission as it is today, as it shows in your agenda item. So that's already been approved by the town. They already have full engineering approval by the town for 1B, as well as the permit from the Water Management District for 1B. As Bobby said, phase 2 is still to come in terms of their final engineering approval. So the discussion about changing the site layout of 1B, I think at this point in the process is a little bit beyond where we can address it.
We can still address it when we come.
But when we look at 2, we can maybe bring that up again in 2. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I catch everything.
Okay, say it again.
Okay, that lot sizes other than John Thorne, keep saying John Thorne's property, I'm sorry.
Daniel's.
Other than the Daniels property, setbacks will be at 7.5. We'll do away with the British West Indies and keep it at 4 unless you come up with something that you think might be acceptable. And then the accessory dwelling units need to be looked at a little closer to give us a little more discretion on it.
Yeah, and as Mr. Healy stated, pretty the standard way that we look at an accessory dwelling unit, it's not a livable unit if you don't have a living area, a bathroom, and a full kitchen. If it's just the two, a living area and a bathroom, that would be considered just an area, not a living unit.
Well, maybe something like that's put into it, because that wouldn't stop someone from saying, coming in there and saying, well, I can put a little kitchen out here.
Correct.
So maybe
So what I would suggest to the applicant is put within their guidelines that say that no kitchen would be, no kitchen allowed. And one of the things that we look at when we do plan review, because we've been doing this for a while, is we look at the electrical. Because if we have somebody coming in trying to do a non-accessory dwelling unit and we see a bunch of 220 plugs in there,
you know,
we know what's coming in after that, and we call it out.
Okay.
But we're pretty aware of that trick.
So you could say no range or cooking equipment.
well, we'll leave that up to you. We can say at this point, better verbiage on the accessory dwelling.
Yeah. Yeah,
For the, yeah. Did I miss something?
the dirt roads, Charlie, I think that's got to be something the town's gonna have to address on Vic and those guys for Vic, the dirt roads. So I think that's something that's on
us,
the town to address the dust issue.
The development is going to be working on it, seems like they could maybe go as well.
Yeah.
Because once it's built, there's gonna be a huge increase in traffic around that park, past it every day, getting over the hubs. Why shouldn't the company that's responsible for the increase in traffic be responsible for supplying materials and resources to fix the road before it becomes a problem?
Yeah, we can certainly address, we'll address that. We'll take care of that with them. Yeah,
Impact fees, other things like roads, schools, everything like that, when you have an impact fee on the.
Yeah.
Once they go to.
Yeah.
That contribute to the area around it, that will change once the impact of those buildings are there.
It does. Yeah,
One comment on impact fees, so it can't be used for maintenance, it has to be used for expansion of capacity. And that's a state law on how impact fees have to be used, so like to just change maybe the surfacing of a road. If you can't prove that it's increasing capacity of the roadway, that would be not a very defendable use of impact fees. It'd be difficult, so that's something to be careful as you look at the impact fees on how this.
but can
Can
impact fees be used to enhance a road?
enhance if we can show you're enhancing capacity.
I'm just.
If you can show that, right?
My developer hat on.
Right, you got to show that there's a rational.
Yeah.
You know what they use the word rational nexus. There's a relationship in that you're expanding the capacity. That you're not using the money to supplant maintenance funding that you haven't.
Sure. Okay.
Just to be careful about that.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Which would be us again.
Yeah.
As we look at, so.
Yeah.
Still have to test the different styles of put on it and what's gonna work on that surface too.
Yeah, okay,
But we still got time there.
Mike, is that it? I think you hit it.
And then I think, like, it's.
Oh, I'm sorry, one other late, sorry.
So Star Street was just paved and didn't Oakland Park pay for that?
It was in, I don't know, anybody, yeah.
We just.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Can't be a stipulation that you do. Or
Right,
as part of the agreement, to let them come in.
right, so part of this development agreement's about the architectural styles of the houses that you saw. It's not so much about the infrastructure that's going in. That's to come, I believe. So,
And to be talked about.
and at that point, that's when we can jump in there and get a little more detailed.
Mayor, to help it in, look here, I say this wrong, is the intent is once this group does take control of phase two, this will come back to bring this all together.
Right.
And then looking at these other infrastructure
With a
discussions.
greater impact that would help us leverage much.
So that would be lose access to the lake and the road improvements and, you know, lift stations and whatever else.
Not just me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Agree.
Okay, so we do have everything for this.
I think you have everything for this. Yeah, yeah. So with that being said, if there's no other questions, we'll entertain a motion.
I guess I'll try it. Okay.
Creative.
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance 2024-07 first public hearing. With these items to come back for the second reading. The lot setbacks other than Daniel's Cove go to 7.5. The do away with the no British West Indies, or do away with the British West Indies type of homes. If you do have another type, you certainly can bring it back in the second one. And then to put verbiage in for accessory dwelling units so that they do not become permanent homes.
Sure. Okay,
I'll second.
second, all in favor? Aye. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we're moving on to, appointments. Oh, yeah.
Policy. Ordinances 2024-3 and 2024-04 will be tabled to May 14th. That's when they'll be.
Come back May 14th. Be fun. Okay, good. Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay. So other policy message is always fun. This is the appointment of 2 members to the Planning and Zoning Board. So we'll make you see those 2 people there, Matt Sutton and Chris Keller. We'll start with Matt Sutton first. Anybody want to make a motion to accept Matt Sutton?
I'll make the motion to accept Matt Sutton as planning and zoning board regular member.
Second, by all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all of us, okay. Matt, we get the swear him in? Oh, gosh, okay. I do. Is it in this thing? Oh, there it is. No. Oh, I got it. I'm just gonna take them both.
It works that way. That works.
Matt. Hey, Matt. At least, yeah, I'm gonna read the whole paragraph because they see the whole thing in one shot. At least that she redid this a little bit. So are you ready? I appreciate it. You ready for your right hand? Yep. I, Matt, solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Support the Constitution of the United States.
And will obey the laws of the state of Florida.
And obey the laws of the state of Florida.
That I will in all respects.
That I will in all respects.
Observe the provisions of the charter and code of ordinances. Observe the provisions.
Observe the provisions
Of the charter.
of the charter
And code of ordinances.
code of ordinance
Of the town of Oakland.
of the town of Oakland.
And I will faithfully perform the duties.
And I will faithfully perform the duties
As a member of the planning and zoning board.
as a member of the planning and zoning board.
Good job. Yeah. Okay, next is Chris Keller. Motion from Chris Keller. Sal makes a motion.
I'll make the motion to appoint for planning and zoning board alternate member Chris Keller.
Okay, second by Mike, all in favor? Aye. Chris?
Nice.
Chris, listen, I'll take a bit off, Chris. She's volunteer, you know, every volunteer board you can think of, so like that at least knows her address. So, yeah.
I've attended a lot of
meetings. Yeah. Okay. I, Chris Keller,
I, Chris Keller,
solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and will obey the laws of the state of Florida,
and will obey the laws of the state of Florida,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the charter
observe the provisions of the charter
and code of ordinances
and code of ordinances
of the town of Oakland,
of Oakland,
and I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of a member of the planning and
duties as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board.
Good job. Thank you. Okay, moving on to solid waste. I believe that's you, right, Andy?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Commission. The next item on the agenda is to approve a request for proposal
For the advertisement of solid waste, bulk waste, yard waste, and recycling services for the town of Oakland. The town of Oakland Solid Waste Franchise Agreement expires February 1st of 2025. The current franchise agreement has been in place since February 1st of 2015, and the current provider of services is Waste Management. In advance of the expiration of the agreement and to be proactive, town staff has prepared a RFP for solid waste collection services to be advertised in May of 2024. The current cost of solid waste services is $17.97 and has remained relatively consistent throughout the term, 10-year agreement. The existing service includes solid waste collection twice per week on Tuesdays and Fridays, with residential customers providing their own containers. Bulk waste, yard waste, and recycling is collected once per week. The proposed RFP includes pricing options for no change to the existing service, as well as pricing options for once per week and twice per week pickup, utilizing 95-gallon solid waste roll carts. Town staff believes that by requesting various service options in the RFP, this will provide the town more options to consider shall the cost of services increase substantially for existing services. Town staff is recommending issuing the request for proposal and establishing a solid waste committee that will be responsible for reviewing the RFPs, the qualifications of the service provider, and making recommendations for the type of service delivery to the residents. Town staff believes being proactive in issuing this request for proposal well in advance of the expiration of the franchise agreement, as it has been nearly 10 years since the town is required to bid for solid waste services. So for the previous 10 years, since 2015, the town has had the same provider. There's been slight increases year after year after year. But if you look at some of the other surrounding municipalities, their solid waste rates are around $23, whereas the residents here have a solid waste fee of $17.97 per month. So we do expect an increase. And so we felt that by going out to bid, we would provide all the options and get all pricing for all the options from whoever qualified waste companies would be. And so we look to do that, and then at our, maybe a meeting in several weeks, we'll come back to you. We'll advertise for volunteers for a solid waste committee that will help us kind of go through the RFPs, that would look at the different types of services, the different costs, the qualifications of the hauler itself, and then make a recommendation to the town commission. So what I think the best route at this point is to have us place out an advertisement for any residents interested in sitting on the solid waste committee. Maybe limit it to 5 or 7. The commission can decide that if you'd like this evening, and then we can kind of advertise those interested to serve on that committee to help us go through these requests for proposals once we receive them back. So I think there may be a change in service. There may not be a change in service. Currently, the town has twice per week pickup. You provide your own container, but we may, due to price, we don't know what that's going to be yet. We may have to change our service, or we may be able to keep what we have. But we'll leave that up to maybe a committee that would make the recommendation to the commission. So I think that's the appropriate action. So tonight, all that's requested before the commission is to approve the request for proposal, putting the solid waste out to bid, which we have to do anyways, because our franchise agreement is expiring. But I feel like we're well in advance of February 1st of 2025. So it gives us some time to really look at these things and not wait to the last minute to realize that we need to put out an RFP. So
in your RFP had all those options in it that you just.
I had every option that the town would have. It'd be 2 days per week with our, as the existing service, a 1 day a week service with a 95-gallon container, and a 2 day a week service with a 95-gallon container. So it has 3 options for service. And we'll have them price all the options, and that gives us an idea of what we're looking at.
And I think if I remember, we need to be ready to rock with that within 6 months. of the end of their contract. I think that's in their contract somewhere that we would have to give them notice if we were to go to somebody else.
Right.
To give them notice within 6 months, or we have to do something. That shortens that time from.
What time, what day would that be? Andy? You know?
6 months, we just have to provide them notice that we're gonna contract out to bid, which they're aware of that. If we stay with them, then they just, then, they provide.
It's onboarding because if you do create the committee, they're gonna have limited time.
Right.
To do the research and development and bring the information to us, so.
When would you want that committee created? Andy, quick responsible?
Yeah, we'll probably, it could be towards the second meeting in May. Okay, so give us some time. We're not in a urgent, we would issue the RFP, advertise it. We would form the committee, and then once those requests for proposals are received back from the town, the committee would go through those and look at the various options and the pricing and decide and make the recommendation to the town commission. So.
Lisa, you guys.
Yeah, we had an existing solid waste advisory group. There's some members in the room. So I would suggest we reach out to them first and then, add on to that.
Ivy thinks enough.
I think 5 because of the short of time we had.
Okay, I'm good with that. Sounds good. We're gonna roll right into your stuff.
We gotta make a motion.
Yeah, you make a motion to approve the RFP.
To approve, RFP.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye, okay.
Keep forgetting.
Maybe you want to roll on into your stuff then?
Yeah, we did, previously, we talked about the material we're gonna put down on the two various roads as a pilot project. To see if that can help control some of the dust. I would just like to, the only other announcement is I'd like to thank the residents that came out last night to the Sadler Park Public Input Meeting. I think it was a very productive meeting. Make some nice improvements and be able to bring back commission some recommendation based on what the general public is discussed at that meeting. So I appreciate everybody that attended that meeting, and that's it. Just everything's going good at the town, and
Question on the roads. We do stuff. We do projects like that. Do we go out to bid for things like that? Do we go have a bidding process, like a certain dollar amount? Pre-bid you get, is there, how does that work to make sure you're getting a fair?
the town does have a purchasing policy. I believe Mike uses this maybe a little more than I do, how that works, but it.
Yeah, so the town does have a purchase policy, and follow that as much as possible. In some cases, we have to back up, like if we don't get bids, if you get 0 bids and you bid it, then you have to back up and take the next thing. But on the roads here, we went out and got 3 proposals, and we chose the one that we chose to fit within that.
So there is a policy in place.
Yeah, I can send you a copy of that. Yeah.
I guys, bear with me while I ask these questions. You guys know these, but.
Okay, thanks, Andy.
Okay.
Anyone else from the departments? Chief, you got anything good going on?
No, thank you for the proclamation. It's not just words from somebody who has lost multiple coaches in the line of duty throughout my 28 years. May is always a great month to remember the sacrifice they made for all of us. And the town is so supportive of this big fund. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Thanks. Thank you.
Anything, Mike?
Just one thing, today I actually had the opportunity to show off our water system out here and the improvements that we did in the past 20 years to a group of engineers from the EPA and somewhere else, I don't remember, but it was. And the biggest thing about it was they were wanting to see a water system that was put into a residential area, and nobody noticed it. And it worked because they showed up and they parked right across the street and they said, okay, where's the water plant? It's right there. It's right. They didn't even see it. It was, it was built that way. So
Very nice. All right.
That's it. That's it.
Jessica?
Yeah, so we have a farmer's market this week. Please join us if you're available on Thursday from 10 to 2 p.m. We've added an event, next week on Wednesday is Meet Your Mayor, in case you haven't met him, but it's an opportunity in a little bit more informal setting to ask questions of, the mayor, bring your ideas, ask about town projects and updates. So it'll be right here. There's some flyers over on the table at 6:30 next Wednesday. Don't forget about the car show on May 4th. We're gonna have a kids zone too, so if you have little kids that would like to join us and see some new cars. We're also looking for volunteers for that. You'll see a post that's gonna go out on social media, so if you're interested in volunteering with us at the center, you'll be able to contact Glenn or myself to help plug in on event day. And then we'll be flipping the exhibit on May 4th as well to a solo exhibit from an up and coming artist from Orlando. So make sure to join us for those fun things.
Like Mullen going online, he wanted to remind everybody about International Jazz Day.
So at the farmer's market this week, for International Jazz Day, which is April 27th, we'll be featuring a jazz band at the farmer's market. So you can celebrate jazz music while eating some tamales and shopping.
Works out well. Okay. Anyone else from town staff have anything to add? No? Good? Okay. Do anything so?
Yes. So I'm gonna pass these out. We got two events. We have two opportunities in our town to serve. We have a mission serve for the Oakland Park, Spirit Park, to beautify it, clean leaves, break, prune, pressure wash the sidewalk this Saturday from 9 to 12. The meeting's gonna be at our church at Mosaic and Winter Garden at 8 o'clock. Volunteers can show up at 8:30 a.m., which will have lead team. Also included, because we couldn't paint the cabana because the kiosk was already painted. So Mike Parker said it was done last year. So we excluded that and added Pollard Park, which is Willie Welch Pavilion, cleaned that and pressure washed that. So we're looking for volunteers. We already have about 12 or 13 of them, but if anybody else would like to volunteer, I need a couple of leaders to help me lead that because I'm going to be spearheading that at Spear Park. Passing it around. And one more event, that's this Saturday, the 27th. One more event, May 6th at Willie Welch Pavilion, which is Pollard Park on the west side of Oakland. Co-led and led by 4Kids Entertainment, which is Eli. He lives in the west side, grew up there, and he's gonna be doing a youth group event, a basketball, burgers and basketball, which is a contest with trophies and prizes and raffle. And I put that on Facebook and I have the flyers for that too. And we also have in our audience, Mr. Bacon, who's gonna co-lead it, but yeah, he's gonna be there working this Saturday, cleaning the park, getting it ready for May 6th, which is on a Monday, 4 to 6, which we're gonna hopefully people, you guys can go support the west side because that was a big concern for Mr. Bacon and all of us over here that people are forgetting about that area. And nobody goes there, so we're bringing this whole thing for the youth. Christian music, you know, it's gonna be a lot of fun and hope to see some of the commission or the mayor out there. Maybe shoot the first basketball mayor in honor of, in 5 minutes of your time or.
You know, Shane, there were times when we do stuff, we bring it down.
Make sure you pass that around too. I don't have enough copies, but you can give it to, give one to, mayor and vice mayor.
All right.
That's all I got.
So I think so. You got anything?
I'm good for that.
Good. I got just a couple of things. First thing I have is Mr. Fulton, we did receive your list sent to Andy with suggestions, and that's been passed around to everyone here in the commission. So we're gonna take a look at that. Town staff is gonna take a look at that, and then we'll get back to you guys on it. What do you think, Andy? Thank you.
Couple of weeks, yes, couple of weeks, yeah, something like that. So we'll let you know what we can and cannot or do.
Yeah, there may be some other things that we spin off on that because they were all positive, good suggestions and that the residents have. And so as we get into the budget process, there may be some things that to get the resident feedback to help us with the budget process this year. We may look at doing as well, but if you have any any projects or anything that you want to see, like I said, you can email me, anything specific or get with me after these meetings and, or come to the Meet the Mayor events. And, we're going to document those and try to see as much as we can incorporate into our next budget process as possible, or our capital improvements program. So we definitely want to hear from you all. Okay.
The other thing I had was what, just echoing Jessica's, the Meet the Mayor, it gives you a chance to kind of come in. It's just going to be an informal kind of get together. I'd like to hear from you guys, like to hear what you want, what you'd like to see here. And we can just talk real quick. We want to try to do those, it's like the first Wednesday of every month we can. And what we'd like to do is try to lead that into something, that Andy, wanted to create, which is like a Citizens Academy, to get the residents engaged and involved. And then, you guys can go and hear from Mike at Public Works, maybe take a tour of Public Works, the chief. Love to show you the jail and as well as Elise and the town hall and stuff. So in the Arts Center. So I hope you guys can come to those. I think they'll be very informative and helpful. So that's all I got. I don't know if Joseph can't talk, right? Okay, I'm not Joseph. I'm not going to copy Joseph, but I think, you have anything, Mike? Yeah, nope, I'm good. Okay, I think we'll just.
If all hearts and minds are satisfied, it's 8:58.
Good job. Thank you.
Hey,